thank you for allowing me to send in this video. I truly apologize. I couldn't be there in person, but you can imagine between my work, my family, and this campaign, life has gotten a little crazy lately, and it's really hard to travel, especially long distances. Anyway, why am I running for Attorney General? Because a number of people asked me about a week or so before the assembly. I think I did pretty well because I had no money at that time. I hadn't been running except for about a week, and I got 37% of the vote in my speech. Anyway, some of the issues that I'm focusing on include election fraud. You can't have integrity unless you address the fraud, and it hasn't been addressed. People need to understand whether the elections are fair and free and secure, and their vote will count. If they don't have that, they're going to speculate, and a lot of people don't even vote it because they assume their vote is going to count. We have to address that. Also, more importantly, the porn and smut in the schools and the attack on our children and all the transgender. We must get rid of that. It's rather telling, as you've seen in the media, how the school boards won't allow parents to read these books into the record at the school board, but they want them in the schools with our kids. We have to stop that, the attack on parental rights and transgenderism. Next, the rising crime. We have to address the rising crime. Colorado was actually in the top 10 of the highest crime states in this nation. Something must be done. Here in my county in El Paso, we have a D rating for crime. That's failing. We can't deal with that. We have to change things and change things now. I couldn't just sit on the couch and watch as things went by and nothing happened. I needed to step in to change things. I'm not looking for a political position or to move up the ladder. I would love to be able to retire in the next few years, but I had to step in. I had to do something and make change, and that's what I intend to do. Our political leaders, mostly Democrats, are failing us, but there's some Republicans too who just aren't doing anything or not fighting. We must change that. We need to elect strong, passionate conservative leaders. I'm a conservative Christian, and I will go to Denver and I will change things. I will go after the fraud, waste, and abuse, the lunatic policies, the bad bills, challenging our Second Amendment rights, challenging our civil rights, our right to religion, our right to practice our religion. I will challenge all of those. Were you aware that our current Attorney General, Phil Weiser, has sued the Trump administration about 64 times? That's our tax dollars, state and federal, being wasted on stupid issues. I can negotiate with any administration and figure out what we need to do. If there are some of those 64 lawsuits that should remain in place because they harm Coloradans, fine, I will leave them in place. But most of them, they're going away because they're probably just stupid knee-jerk reactions because people don't like Trump. I support Trump. We also need to lower crime, back the blue, back ICE. This is not a personality contest. This is not about me. This is about you and voting for somebody that you know will change things. We must get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse. Personally, I don't know anybody anything. I don't have any huge backers for my campaign. I don't have anybody pulling my strings. When I get to office, I rely on my God and my conscience to do what's right for you all. And with that, I will tell you and I will guarantee I will have a town hall every single month. I'm tired of politicians who will love you when they want to get elected and then they disappear and you never hear from them. Like I said, I'll have a town hall every month around the state and online and listen to what you all have to say and the things that concern you the most and give you updates on what's going on and how to address things. I need to learn about the issues, and the only way to do that is to listen to the people. So I would ask you to vote for me, David Willson, for Attorney General. Please visit david4ag.com. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Rick Taggart, and I have had the honor to serve you in the House of Representatives for House District 55 for the last 2 terms, and I'm running again for my 3rd term, and I'm proud to do that. My focus has always been on this community. It was on this community when I first stepped into this world of politics as a city council member and then later as the mayor. And I'm very pleased and honored on a daily basis that I can continue to serve this community that I so dearly love. I'm going to go a little bit off script for a second. There was an individual up here earlier by the name of Senator Barb Kirkmeyer. Senator was very kind to me. I have to tell you, Senator Barb Kirkmeyer is one of the smartest people that I have ever had the opportunity to work with. Not only in my political life, but in my business life, and as well as a professor when I get a chance to teach at the university. Barb knows more about childcare, more about Medicaid, more about labor than any person that I serve with. And she kids me that I'm the quiet one on the JBC, the gentleman, as she points out. But I have to tell you, working alongside of her has been a true honor over these last 3 years. I have to say that it is unusual, very unusual, that a freshman representative gets appointed to the Joint Budget Committee. And I was very fortunate that I was appointed in my second year. Barb took me under her wing and made her time available to me on a continual basis so that I could learn, because when you have to balance a budget that has 20 plus different departments, can you imagine the number of line items that we look at? She was so gracious, and it's a real pleasure now that I'm in my third year and we can do give and take. There's some departments that Barb leans on me, and there's some departments I lean on her. And it has been a great relationship. For her to come here to Western Colorado means a great deal to me. I hope you will listen to whatever she says, because she is incredible and would make a great governor. And when she says she understands our needs, that's not just talk. She understands it because she listens to me and she listens to Senator Rich and others that are on the joint budget or in the legislature. So again, I humbly endorse her. I think the world of her, and I know she would be an incredible governor. Just an incredible governor. Just talking about this year a little bit and what's up for next year. We started in the Joint Budget Committee. We went back on November the 1st, basically, because within the budgeting process, because constitutionally, we have to have a balanced budget. I wish some of our federal colleagues would hear that. We have a balanced budget by Constitution. We can say we're conservative all day long, but if we don't have something in our Constitution that says you're going to have a balanced budget, you can talk about being conservative and you can run our debt up over $36 trillion, which is ridiculous. The way the process works is the governor on November 1st, and this past year was October the 31st, he presents to us in a joint budget committee a joint budget, or a budget that he says, and I quote, a balanced budget. Within 24 hours of giving that budget to us, if you polled any one of us, any one of the 6 of us on the Joint Budget Committee, you would have heard we were in the hole in a deficit somewhere between $1 billion and $1.5 billion. That is not what I consider a balanced budget. And I'll give you one part of it that he proposed to us. Many of you may know the name Pinnacle. They are the workman's comp provider, carrier in this state. And it's a quasi-governmental organization. We have taxpayer dollars in Pinnacle. We haven't put any in, I don't think, since 2008, but we do have taxpayer dollars in there. The last time we put dollars in, it was about $80 million. The governor wanted to get that back and then some. So we put in the budget that we were going to privatize it, and we were going to take $400 million to help balance the budget. We all knew in a very short period of time that wasn't going to happen. Now, should Pinnacle be privatized? My humble estimation, the answer is yes, because they have one arm tied behind their back, if not two arms tied behind their back, that they can't do business in their present form. They cannot do business outside of the state of Colorado. And think about that for a second. For an individual like myself that ran a multinational corporation for years and years and years, our people are all across the country. And so even if you're a Colorado company, but you're doing business domestically and internationally, you still have to have workman's comp for your people. Pinnacle can't cover those folks that are outside of Colorado. So guess what happens? We as leaders of company now have to have at least two workman's comp carriers. I don't know about you guys, but that makes our life a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive. And so it does need to be privatized. And if you haven't heard this, the company has lost 10 points in market share in the last 6 or 7 years. 10 points. 20% of their market share they have lost. On the present course, at some point, they are going to be financially in difficult times. Please don't run out and change providers. They're not there today. But they are in potential trouble over the longer period of time. So I believe it needs to be privatized, but I do believe you don't just throw that out on a document and say, we have a balanced budget because we're going to take $400 million from the privatization of Pinnacle. And there were other things like that. We got to a balanced budget. It was difficult. It was painful. Anytime you're taking dollars from folks like the IDD community, which Barb talked about, intellectually, developmentally disabled individuals, which I met with a family this weekend on that, it breaks your heart. It just breaks your heart. We also had to cut back dollars on pediatric behavioral therapy. That breaks your heart. Barb talked about, I negotiated all night one night to bring back Cover All Colorado, where our Democrat colleagues said, this is for undocumented immigrants. They told us at maximum it was going to be $30 million. This past year it was $100 million, headed to $125 million. So they're human beings. It was difficult to negotiate, but I eventually got my Democrat colleagues to agree on a cap, both from a number of people and a trigger in terms of how many dollars can be spent, and we cut back benefits that we just can't afford. I can't look at parents in the IDD community in the eye, knowing full well some of the reason we had to cut dollars there is because this was out of control. Since my being in the House, I am proud to say that 70 of my bills, 70 out of 72 bills that I have sponsored have passed and been signed by the governor. Two of them are what are called PI'd, and one of them happened this year. I actually had one a couple of years ago, but we brought it back a second year on search and rescue. And it passed the second year. So I have worked very hard within my caucus and across the aisle. The senator and I have done bills together, and I always enjoy doing bills with the senator. I won't even count the number of bills we do in the JBC because it's staggering. I am proud to represent this community. I don't have a primary opponent, but I do have a general opponent, and I will always treasure your support ongoing. So thank you very much.
Wright, she's the CD3 State Board of Education. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. I read Mesa Republican Women's and transcribed it to Montrose. So guess where I was this morning? Thankfully, I left my house early enough that I had no problems getting here. But anyway, maybe I'm a little bit dyslexic. I want to tell you thank you for inviting me. I really, really appreciate it. I am Sherri Wright, and I'm currently on the State Board of Education. There are 9 seats on the state board. 5 of them are Democrats, and 4 of us are Republicans. We have an uphill battle. So just to give you a little bit about me, I really appreciated with the vets that stood up and said everything. I need you to know I am from a vet family. My father served in World War II, Navy. My son served in the Iraq War, Navy. My nephew served in Afghanistan, Air Force. So I have a strong background of vets, and I support you 100%. I get teary over that. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. I have 4 grandkids. One is 26, one is 24, one is 6, and one is 4. So they are spread out. And my 2 oldest grandchildren are girls, and they have each, I now have 3 great grandsons. So I am family oriented, and that means I'm education oriented. I believe that we need to support and educate all students. I taught school for 20 years. It was 7th grade, middle school, language arts. And people look at me and say, how'd you do that? And I said, because every day was fresh. Every day was new. Every day was different. If you have ever had to have a 12, 13-year-old child in your home, think of having a classroom of 30. So, but it was great. I loved it. I still miss it. When I retired from teaching, and I retired because my son was in college in Texas, and I did not want to have to ask permission to go visit my son. I'm a helicopter mother in one sense. And after I went off of that, I went on the school board, my local board. And while I was on my first 8 years, I served as president of the VOTEC technical school. And then I helped move it to a vocational technical college. And then because funding was short, I helped move it to PCC, to a junior college, community college. So I do have that experience. My husband became ill, and so I resigned from the, I didn't rerun for my board after my 8 years. And then he passed away right after that, so I went in and became a director of a charter school. And after that, they asked me to rerun for the state board, for the local board, and so I served on that one for 12 years. So 20 years of local school boards. And after that, my mother goes, "What are you going to do now?" So I ran for state board. And in the process, when a week before, 2 weeks before the assembly, the Republican assembly, my mother passed away. I was going to quit, but she she told me to keep fighting, so I did. I just want you to know that obviously I have my bachelor's degree in secondary language arts, secondary English, and my master's degree in secondary education. So I do know education really well. I am passionate about education, if you haven't gathered that yet. I have 3 principles that I fight for, and one of them is parental rights. I do not believe that a school has a right to keep kids' information private. And I do not believe that a child needs to be told not to tell their parents something. I do not believe that a school needs to hide stuff from parents. I believe that it's parental rights. My second one is school choice. Not all kids learn the same way. And obviously, as you know, I was public education and I was charter school. I believe that every child learns differently, and every child has a right to learn the best of their ability. That is something that I preach every time I'm in a state board meeting. So I am sometimes the only no vote on some certain things, but I believe strongly that every child has a right for education. And everyone learns differently. Currently, my 6-year-old grandson just graduated from kindergarten. He is now going into 1st grade in a charter school. And it is a great charter school. My 2 granddaughters are looking at their children and they're going, are we going to homeschool or are we going to charter school? When I had dinner with a superintendent last week, he said, that is taking money away from public schools. You've got to stop it. And I just looked at him and said, wait a minute. It may be taking money from public education, but you better defend that because I don't believe it is, because every child gets funded. But if you think that you need that money, then change your system. Start being what kids need. Quit just doing same old. And that's coming from somebody that taught public education. But we do. And we have changed a lot in our education since I've been there. My third one is education. I believe in student outcome. I believe that we need to go into the school system and we need to teach our kids. We need to teach them math. We need to teach them reading. We need to teach them history. We do not need to indoctrinate them. I was recently visiting with Ray Scott. I don't know if many of you know him, but he's the regent for CU, for Colorado, for CD3. And he said, well, what are you doing, Sherri? And I said, I'm politicking to you. You need to do something about this. I said, you need to set up policies and you need to enforce them because our teachers are coming out not knowing how to teach, and they're coming in with their private viewpoints and they're pushing it onto kids. They're not teaching kids how to think. They are teaching kids what to think. I do not believe in that. Then let's talk about CD3. I am the only representative that is actually representing all rural schools. Now then Lone Tree has a couple, Greeley has a couple, but I have most of you. And I fight hard for you. And I have made some changes. When they started talking about grants, I'm going, wait. Nope, this isn't fair. Because rural schools don't have funding for grant writers. They cannot compete against Jeffco, Denver Public. We cannot do that. I said, and they go, well, what do you recommend? You know, thinking, well, they've got her under the bill. And I said, let's look at needs. Let's look at needs. What are the needs? And then let schools apply, delegating and telling us their needs. So we are doing that now. Not completely, but we're working on it. We are going more for, it's still called grants, but it's grants on need-based. I've had some people argue with me on the board because, Sherri, you don't understand. We have more students, so we need more money. I said, you don't understand. We have students, and they all need money. So let's just divvy it up correctly. So I am fighting for you, and my Republican counterparts are fighting for you. We're beginning to change it. So let's continue changing for our kids. Let's make sure that our kids have great outcomes, whether they're homeschool, charter school, private school, or public school. All kids deserve an education. All kids deserve the best education. So please go to my website and check me out. I'm sherriforcolorado.com. And if you look in on the upper right-hand corner, it says information or contact or something like that. If you click on that button, you will see a whole lot more about me. So I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sheriff. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for this opportunity to address you. My name is Ross Young, and I am your candidate for Mesa County Sheriff. Special thanks to the Mesa County Republican Women for hosting this forum. I can't tell you how grateful I am and blessed to receive so much support throughout our community and the support from the men and women who work in the Mesa County Sheriff's Office. I moved down here in 2001. I was a Grand County implant, so go Middle Park High School. For those of you who ever been in the Grand County area, I think nothing really compares with the mountains and the skiing and all the outdoor activities that you have there, replicate some of the same outdoor opportunities we have here in Mesa County. After I graduated with my degree in computer science from Colorado Mesa University, I really wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that service to my community was a big thing. So I started my career in law enforcement back in 2007. Working for the Mesa County Sheriff's Office, I've been a detentions deputy. I've been a patrol deputy. I've worked on our street crimes unit where we often chased some of the most heinous bad guys here in Mesa County. I left Mesa County in 2013. My wife was kind of a stay-at-home mom with 3 little babies at the time, and she said, hey, I really appreciate that you're out there chasing all these bad guys, but we need a change. And so I went back to my small town roots and was a police officer for the city of Fruita for several years. I promoted to the rank of corporal, and then Sheriff Lewis called me and he said, hey, he goes, I've got an opportunity for you. I'm running this co-response program, and nobody at the Mesa County Sheriff's Office wants anything to do with it, but I think you would be a great a deputy to come and run this program for me. So back in 2018, I went back to the Mesa County Sheriff's Office where I became our first co-response deputy, working with mental health clinicians to address and help people that are in crisis. I've also worked in our intelligence unit, gathering all the information and putting it in packets to help address some of the crime issues that our community faced. I worked as a persons crime investigator, where my primary duty was investigating crimes against children, both sex assaults and internet crimes against children. I promoted to sergeant, and I was a patrol sergeant. I was also a sergeant over our property crimes unit, where I oversaw our evidence unit, our property crimes investigators, our patrol service technicians, our crime scene unit, and our peer support unit. As a sergeant over peer support, my unit, the peer support unit, worked with Senator Rich and Representative Taggart to pass legislation that protected confidentiality for first responders in a peer support setting, so that when our first responders deal with some of the most heinous acts that they see in their career, that when they receive help and they seek help, that is protected and cannot be used against them. As a property crimes unit investigator, my unit also worked with Senator Rich and Representative Taggart to pass the Colorado Vending of Digital Assets Act. And what that law did was provided common sense regulations regarding cryptocurrency ATMs all throughout Colorado. Cryptocurrency ATMs that were used to commit fraud that affected our senior citizens throughout the state. And we got that passed and signed by the governor. Currently, I'm the lieutenant of our professional standards unit at the Mesa County Sheriff's Office, where I oversee our hiring, our training, and our internal affairs bureau. I can't tell you how thankful I am to receive the support of not just all of you, but also the men and women who serve you every single day in Mesa County. Our organization belongs to the Fraternal Order of Police. We have an established lodge, and I would say probably 95% of our sheriff's office belongs to this organization. I recently received their endorsement by receiving 98.4% of the vote. For 19 years, aside from being a husband and a father, my life's work has been to protect your families. When I was at County Assembly, I made some vows that I'm going to repeat here because they're important to me and they're important to our community. As sheriff, I vowed to protect public safety across Mesa County by strengthening partnerships with local, state, and federal agencies, by working with our communities to address the issues that matter most, and by ensuring our deputies are trained, equipped, and ready to answer the call every single time. I vow to uphold and defend your constitutional rights, to protect your individual freedoms, and to work with our elected officials to make sure that Mesa County has a voice at the state capitol. I will stand with our Republican leaders and stand firm when policies don't reflect the values of our community. I vow to be fiscally responsible, transparent, and accountable, working alongside our county commissioners and other elected officials to ensure our public safety needs are met with transparency, accountability, and a clear focus on results. And I vow, with every fiber of my being, to be a faithful steward to the office of sheriff, to honor the responsibility it carries, and to never take that for granted. As currently I'm running unopposed for the Mesa County Sheriff, and as your next sheriff, I want to make sure it's clear that that title does not belong to me. It belongs to each and every one of you. That as your elected sheriff, I will honor that title, and I will be the great steward of that title until one day I'm replaced, because no one can be sheriff forever. For 19 years, I have served this county. I have walked its streets, and I have protected your families. I'm not running for a title. I'm running to lead and to serve Mesa County. Thank you so very much. God bless Mesa County, God bless Colorado, and God bless your families and each and every one of you. Thank you.
For Mesa County Clerk. And Bobbie gave us all of the sample ballots for both House District 54 and 55. So thank you, Bobbie.
Thank you all for being here today. It's an honor to come and speak with you, and thank you to the Women's Republicans for hosting this special lunch today. I'm Bobbie Gross, Mesa County Clerk and Recorder, and currently running for my spot. So a few things that we have made some great improvements at the Clerk and Recorder's office that I'm especially proud of is we've really taken a unique effort into making sure that we could be as transparent as we possibly can with our elections. So we made a lot of changes within there. You know, from our voter rolls to transparency to allowing people to look at the ballots. So that was a huge effort that I took on. And we have a ballot verifier now, so people can look at their ballot images. They can look how the equipment read that, so you can see the cast vote record along with the ballot image. You can't tell your ballot because everybody gets a private ballot in Colorado, but you can go in and do your own audit with our ballot verifier that we launched a couple of years ago. So very proud of that. We're continually looking at how we can update that to make it more transparent. We're in currently so that you can, we're working with our vendor to make sure that we can do what they call a ballot splitter. So it'll show you, You know, some people's misconception is everybody votes party line. That's not true. If you look at those ballot images, there's really no way to dictate how voters vote. So they're going to be able to show that as like a dashboard. Also adjudicated ballots too. So a lot of people want to look at how our election judges are adjudicating those ballots when they need to learn voter intent. We're working on a tool so that we can look at those as well, so that you can split that out and get a little bit more data. Looking at El Paso County, they have a really great website that I'm looking at trying to put it together, where you could get on a GIS map and you can show, you can bring it down to the precincts to tell what people are registered, whether registered Republican, unaffiliated, Democrat, in each precinct breakdown. So it's some great data, so I'm pretty excited to look at trying to implement that here in Mesa County. We also worked on cleaning up our voter rolls. So that's a big project that we have taken on. We've done some unique things in Mesa County that no other county is doing, because we are restricted by law when it comes to our voter registration. So in order to make a voter inactive, I have to receive election mail back. I would like to see the law broaden with that. Instead of just election mail, could we do government mail? Because we're getting that same information back. It's just at a different location. So we're currently taking our motor vehicle renewal cards that come back. I get a lot of them back. And we're looking at that and looking at our voter rolls, and then I can send them election mail if I got the renewal back. So just that extra added transparency to try and make sure our voter rolls are clean. We also went to a point-to-point range. So that means a lot of other counties have a range. So if you have an address from 200 Main Street to 900 Main Street and somebody registers with a house address in between, that might not be a good address if you're not to point. So our address library is point to point with the assessors and with the 911. So they can't register at a house that doesn't exist. So you don't have those ranges. We'd like to see motor vehicle go to that same address library, but that'll be in our future, hopefully. So really working on transparency in elections. We also worked with our recording department. So now your public land records are free. So you used to have to buy a subscription or pay to look at your deed of trust or any documents that you have recorded on your name. And now you can go on our website, you can pull up your deed of trust, you can print it off, and you can keep it for forever if you'd like. But we brought that so that people will have access to their land records. So we're pretty excited about that. We also have a fraud alert system, so you can sign up for that. So if anything is recorded under your name, you'll get an email notification if you're signed up for that. If you don't know how to sign up, give me a call, I can walk you through it. We also took it a step further, and if we get a quitclaim deed or beneficiary deed over the counter, we're gonna notify you by mail too. We're gonna send you a letter unless it comes from a trusted source like a land title company, you know, somebody that deals with titles on your homes. If we get it just from individuals, we're gonna also notify you by mail, so that if there is fraud, it's detected early and that we can address it then. In motor vehicle, we extended hours on our motor vehicle, so you can get checked in at 7:45. We do stop taking numbers at 4:30 so that we can work the people through, but we also opened it up for appointments. So if you can't wait in line and you need to come down and see us, you can make an appointment so you're in and out. We typically have appointments same day, so I tell people to check our website out. We usually can get in there same day with that appointment. We also do a lot of online transactions that people can do. So we implemented what we call skip the trip. So we have packets online that if you don't want to come in or you can't come in, you can drop that paperwork off. We'll get it processed and sent back to you, typically within 2-day turnaround. So we're pretty efficient with our motor vehicle office. Some of the challenge that I can see coming in our future is probably the county budget. So budgets are tight across the state of Colorado. They're also tight in Mesa County. So we're going to have to get real creative and still offer the same service with probably less. So we're really working at getting creative with our budget. And the majority of the clerk's budget is staff and postage. That is the majority of our budget items. So a lot of great things at the clerk's office that we're working at. We also do click to the Board of County Commissioners, which we also issue liquor licensing, marijuana cultivation licensing. That also falls underneath the clerk's realm. And so does abatement hearings. We help the assessor out with being that middle person to set up those abatement hearings so people can protest their property values. So we also manage all of that. So the clerk's office is very busy. We have a lot of divisions. We work very closely with the community in Mesa County. So I would just hope for your vote in the June primary. That is my election. After that, there's not another person running in November for the clerk and recorder's office. So if you have questions, please come see me. But I would greatly be honored to earn your support in the June primary. Thank you.
And then Britt Goff is coming up as our Mesa County treasurer. Thank you.
Assessor.
What did I say, treasurer?
That's okay.
See, it's been a long.
That would be Mr.
I
Greg
know.
Haitz next.
I
That's
know.
fine.
I'm sorry. You guys work hand in hand.
Thank you. I've worked with some outstanding treasurers. Senator Rich was a treasurer, and she came down to my office. I was deputy assessor back then. I would listen to her as well. Don't want the treasurer job, but I am on the ballot as your county assessor. I got to tell you, I have some really good news this year from your tax guy. I have to give some credit where credit is due to our slate of legislators who actually got the senior property tax home exemption funded this year. Okay? So, gee whiz. That means $5.8 million comes back to all the seniors who have the senior exemption in Mesa County. Okay, that's 200 million statewide, but 5.8 million is coming back to y'all if you've qualified for the senior homestead exemption. How good is that? Thank you. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and I really think without the Republicans over there, that would have been a veto. That would have been not in the budget. It would have been other pork. So thank you guys very much. It's your money. It's your money. I want to ask you, how many of you get the senior homestead exemption off of your taxes? Okay. For those of you that have not qualified, think about this. If you own your home for 10 years, okay, and it's your primary residence, I want you to apply with my office by July 15th. So time is short. Come see me by July 15th. That's the deadline to file. Okay? July 15th is coming up quick. Other deadlines, June 8th is your deadline to file a protest with my office if you don't like the value that I sent out. I have no interest in valuing you a nickel more than it's worth. I can't give away the farm, otherwise the state would just come take over my office. However, let's talk. If your market value is not supported, come see me. June 8th is the deadline for that. Interestingly enough, I had a gent come see me right before this lunch, and he wanted to meet with me and Commissioner Fletcher about his property value. And I said, that would be inappropriate. That's like asking for the judge and then the appeals court judge to meet with you in the same meeting. So we are a quasi-judicial due process office. And that goes to the county commissioners in July, but not before. So we want to do a fair adjustment on your property during May. If you don't like that, then you can ask to see the county commissioners at that time, but not at the same time. That would be inappropriate. I'm here to make sure that My office treats you fairly. If you call the office, you might get shocked with an actual human being answering it instead of a computer. Over my dead body, are we going to get some computer-generated AI voice bot answering the call down at my office? Ain't happening. I will answer, I'll put myself, no. There's talk about AI coming in and helping with all sorts of tasks. How many of you like calling and talking with the computer? Nobody. Nobody likes that stuff. It's going to be some other office. So again, thank you for the legislative effort to get the senior exemption funded. That's not a given. It's always a fight every year. Encourage your legislature to do the right thing every year. Because they could, if the Dems take total control, it could be gone. They could just say, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So thank you, guys. I'm Brent Goff. I'm your county assessor, and it's been an honor to serve you. And vote for Mr. Haitz when he comes on up. Thank you.
Action for Greg. Greg Haitz, Mesa County Treasurer. Thank you.
Thanks, Carla. Appreciate it. I think I know most of you in the room, but those of you that don't know me, Greg Haitz, running for Mesa County Treasurer. Thanks for hanging in there. I think we're almost an hour ahead, so that's awesome. I'll keep it fairly short and brief. What I thought I might do is go over briefly my qualifications, what the treasurer actually does, and then maybe a little bit of campaign strategy at the end, because I just like that stuff. So my background, I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I've been doing that for 23 years. So I have my doctorate in chiropractic. I have a bachelor's degree in biology, human anatomy and biology. And so I've been doing that for a lot of years. My wife's a real estate agent, and so we own a real estate company as well. We have rental properties, and so we're entrepreneurs, small business owners. We've got our irons in a lot of different fires. And so I'm looking forward to this election in November. I was fortunate to avoid a primary in June. And so yet I still have 3 opponents that I'm going to be facing off. And I'll talk about those here in a minute. Other experience that I bring to the table, I was on the Colorado Chiropractic Association Board of Directors for 10 years. That was an honor of a lifetime. During that time, I ascended through the board up to the executive board and ended up becoming the president for a year. We ran some legislation. When I first came onto the board, it was in a rough spot. We had an executive director that was embezzling, buying Rolex watches and artwork and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so someone asked me, because they knew I had, pretty good with finances, they said, Greg, can you come on the board? We really need to, put this fire out. We had 12 grand left in the bank account. This is an organization that ran off a $250,000 budget. And so we went scorched earth, fired the cleaning crew. I made the executive director clean the toilets. I mean, we did whatever we had to do. We would make sandwiches for our lunches. We didn't even order out because we just went scorched earth. And so within a year, we had the organization back up and running, and now it's running off of about a $500,000 budget. We've got 5 different law firms that work for us. We've got lobbyists down at the Capitol. I'm sure Janice Rich has interacted with Mike Beasley and his crew. And so I'm really proud of that experience. Nothing that I really thought I'd get into, but 10 years of that, I think that was pretty good experience when it comes to finances, board governance, and then executive level leadership. And so when you think about the treasurer's office, it's pretty simple. The treasurer is kind of like the banker of the county. We collect all those tax revenues. We invest those dollars. We make sure that those dollars are protected, and then we distribute those dollars to all the different taxing entities, local governments, library districts, different taxing districts. It's not super sexy. It's not really glamorous, but it's a very important job. And I appreciate Brent Goff as well for his endorsement. It's really important too that the assessor and the treasurer work well together. And I've known Brent for a lot of years, and he's a man of integrity. If you haven't taken the Inside Mesa County class, I recommend you do so. Brent puts on a really nice workshop on how assessment rates work. He really does have a heart of a teacher, which I can appreciate. And he likes to plug in really good conservative principles in there as well. So it's a great class. I'd recommend that as well. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about strategy for this fall. So I have 3 opponents. This is probably the most contested the treasurer's race has been in, 40 plus years? It's crazy. I don't know why exactly, but maybe it's just the political climate that we're in. So I've got a Democrat, David Edwards. I think Rick Taggart said he's the bad penny that doesn't go away. He's ran for county commissioner, I think, 4 different times. He's been on the Palisade Board of Trustees off and on. And so he's my Democrat opponent. And then I have a forward party opponent, Christine Schultz. She has a finance background. And so the left has already come out and trying to say, we don't need a chiropractor when we've got someone with finance background, which is a fine thing to say, except that we have a finance department at the county, and that's not the treasurer's office. And so the treasurer's role is really a department head role. It's administrative, right? It's all set in statute. We've got a calendar of when tax notices go out, all the different processes that we do. There is some finance mingled in there, but we don't need a CPA to be treasurer per se. We need someone with leadership skills, with executive skills that can run a team, and we have a dynamite team down there at the treasurer's office. So the last thing I'm going to do is go in there and change a bunch of stuff or fire anybody. They're running a really tight ship, and I hope to come in there and just be the next great leader for that office, and that's my goal. The last opponent I have, he's an independent. They all lean left, so I'm hoping that they just split the vote on the left side, but I'm still going to take it very seriously. I'm going to be campaigning hard. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot until after the primary, just so everyone can be focusing on that primary. I do have some signs in the back. I've got some donation envelopes as well, and then I'll be doing some larger 4x8 signs here probably this summer as well. Other ways you can support me and other candidates is writing letters to the editor. We might put on a little workshop around that. It might be here, it might be at Stand for the Constitution or another meeting, but we've had requests for folks. It's very intimidating if you've never written one. Once you've written a couple, you just keep writing them. They're so easy to do. But that would be a great way to support us candidates is write those letters in. You can send them to the Daily Senile. You can also send them to the Business Times. They've got a new section now where you can do op-eds and letters to the editor. So it's a great way to support your candidates. I can't remember the word count. I think it's 350 words. So they're short and sweet, but it's a great way to support your candidates as well. And I think that's all I've got. Thank you guys for sticking around. Pulling in last year, but it's still a good crowd. Thank you, appreciate it.